let's say bang 3.77%, perfect. It just helps ingrain things in your mind a lot quicker, and I think it's a really great warm-up prior to getting involved in the markets.
I know it's gonna hurt, but you're worth fighting for.
What's up and welcome to this week's video. Now I had a question from a subscriber similar to last time's video as well. So I had a question about warm-ups to do with trading. So is there anything you do before you get into live markets? How do you prepare your mind? How do you prepare your routine around your live trading? So I thought it'd be a great idea for a video, to be fair. And this week in the markets I've been really busy in the back end with like trading stuff. Got a few exciting things to share in probably 3-4 weeks time, probably more, but I'm going to keep that quiet for now. But just so many things happen in the background, so pretty excited, and yeah, the momentum's shifted, so I can't wait to see how the rest of the year pans out. So it's going to be really good. But in terms of this video, warm-up. So I've been testing this out for, to be honest, I've had different warm-ups throughout my whole trading journey so far, ever since like 2018, 2019, 2020, just in slightly different ways. Not too much has really changed, but there's been slight tweaks, slight variations, slight adaptations to that routine, of course, as I continue to grow and evolve into the trader that I'm slowly becoming over time. So there's three things that I really wanted to point out. So number one is the first warm-up. Now, this is winning trades. So this is keeping a folder of your winning trades. Now, this has been really helpful. I've only just started applying this. I actually learned this from someone else as well, so credit to them. And I've been applying that over the last 6 to 8 weeks with really good effect, actually. So I find that it just warms my mind up to the markets. And not only that, it keeps my mind focused on those winning trades. Now, what I want to do here is just show you a visual standpoint of exactly what I mean versus actually talking about it. So if I just take you on Notion just to show you around a little bit. Now, for this instance, I've just called this setup 1 to keep it simple. So if we just have a look at euro dollar, so as you can see, this is the 7 pairs I trade right now, plus one more that I've added into, which is euro pound. So if we just have a look at this, right, having a before and after, so basically, as you can see, we've got before, after. Let me just turn the brightness down here so that you can see that in more detail. Perfect. So with this one, we got before, after. So before the trade was taken, as it's taken there, and then afterwards, how did it play out? So by seeing that, it helps you to really associate with the fact that, okay, perfect, it's played out in this way. Therefore, when you see that in the markets, it's going to come a lot more naturally. Let's say bang 3.77%. Perfect. It just helps ingrain things in your mind a lot quicker, and I think it's a really great warm-up prior to getting involved in the markets. So method number 2 here is trading plan. So this is going to apply especially if you only have 1 or 2 trading plans. Now, for myself personally, I have between 8 and 9 right now, but I'm just focusing more so on the top 4, just because they're the pairs that I regularly trade. So I usually go through each of those plans. So basically each pair is like 15 pages, I think. And then 2 of those pages are like contents and stuff. So it's not actually that much, and it probably takes me around about 5 minutes in total, I reckon. So it's pretty quick, pretty fast, just a quick skim through, remind yourself of the rules, remind yourself of the guidelines, the things you put in place on the background, the stats behind each trade, each specific setup over the course of long-term data, any setup, screenshots, anything you want to remind yourself with, a checklist before taking a single trade. Like, I feel like it helps your mind settle into the markets really well, especially if you because it's like having a game plan. It is a game plan. So if you have a game plan to go into a game, whether it's whether it's sport, whether it's fitness related, whether it's business related, whether it's trading, you want to stick to that game plan as much as possible, right? But if you always have your plan on your desk but you never refer back to it, how are you going to slowly start to ingrain those fundamental concepts into your mind without actually putting them purposely first and foremost? So now the biggest thing behind this principle for myself personally is actually applying things at the conscious competence level before it actually becomes unconscious competence. So what that basically means is that you have to physically take time to learn a concept before it then becomes second nature to you, because it's repetition, right? The more and more you do something, the more it's going to become ingrained within your subconscious mind. Without that repetition, without actually that initial conscious practice, first and foremost, it's never going to become subconscious. So that for me with the trading plans is key. So I just run through 4 of my plans, takes me roughly 5 minutes, 6 minutes at max, and it really sets me up nicely for the day after the winning trades, of course, as well. So I feel like those two in conjunction with each other are really good concepts to at least try out and see if they work for you. If so, apply them. If not, then ditch and move on to the next one. Once again, just wanted to hop back on for a quick review of the trading plan. Now, I'm not going to show you in detail because this is my plan and just tailored to me, and it's something that I developed. So there's been a lot of hours, a lot of hard work put into this. So it's important that everyone forms their own plan based on their own finance. That's something that I wanted to point out. But in terms of this, as we can see, this is euro yen. So for this example, what have we got within the plan? Now, a lot of you ask what I've got within my plan. So just to have a bit of, I'll do a separate video on this when I'm ready, but at the same time, in the meantime, just wanted to give you a quick rundown. So what have we got? Now, what I've got it into is I've got pair behavior followed by guidelines. So these are set rules in place for that pair specifically, followed by a checklist. So that is, if you had 3 setups, a checklist for each setup. Statistics, so that is the data behind each setup, how it plays out over the course of the long term. The setup itself, followed by screenshots, management styles, and then last but not least, your authorization to approve that plan. So I like the way everything's learnt out. So this is the last page I'm going to go on to, but have a look at this. So this is just natural pair behavior for euro yen. So I talked about it in a few videos ago that euro yen specifically is very notorious for pulling back aggressively when running in 5% profit based on my current setups. So with that in mind, I can then take that knowledge into the live markets, apply that to a set management style, which I have. This is one of the pairs where I'll have a different management style because it reacts different in certain environments. So with that in mind, that helps me to have an advantage, a better edge on that pair that then plays out over the course of the long term. So that really helps me in my opinion. So having that trade plan in place is not only key, but then to run through that every morning, whether it's paper based, on the computer. I actually prefer mine in paper, but at this stage, because I'm tweaking it so much, it's just not worth buying another piece of paper because I'm going to buy probably about 20 more. So it's not worth it right now, but it's just good to run through it before you get into trading, or at least before you get into a trade. Now, last but not least, probably the most important principle within this is forecasting, is preparation prior to taking any trades. Now, I've been really dialed into forecasting for a while now, and I feel like it's really elevated my trading in different ways, both subconsciously, psychologically, and both practically as well. So it's really good. I think where people get mixed up with forecasting though is they get too into the details of forecasting every single scenario that can happen within the markets. And although they can happen, what I primarily focus on is actually forecasting my trade setups ahead of time. And then when they form, you've already taken it in your mind 3, 4, 5, 6 times plus sometimes, so that it's almost subconscious by that time to then take the trade. What you're essentially doing is removing the guesswork. If you don't forecast, there's nothing wrong with that. It might suit you, it may be something that you've done for a long time, but there's naturally going to be a lot more hesitation when that trade forms if it's not specific. Now, every single trader is going to have their own routine, their own slight tweaks on how they do certain things. Forecasting for me has always been that fundamental thing amongst backtesting, ASR, journaling, a few other things as well. It's really, really important for me because if I don't forecast, there's going to be naturally a lot more hesitation when that setup forms, because although I still know what I'm looking for to a certain extent, because you're not prepared for it mentally, it's quite a shock. There can be more hesitation naturally come into place. So I find that preparing ahead of time just makes things more smooth line, makes it very easy to execute once that trade forms, because it's like going into, a basketball game, a football game, right, where you haven't prepared beforehand to even execute. So if you don't have a game plan ahead of time, it's going to be naturally 2, 3 times as hard on the pitch, on the court, to then execute the game plan, right? Same thing in business, same thing in trading, same thing in every single thing you do. Prior preparation promotes peak performance. So if you can put things in place prior to actually getting involved within live trading, then it's just key in my opinion. So it's important. And last but not least, let's take a look at forecasting. So pretty much a lot of you already know what forecasting is. You've probably seen it from our prior videos and other places too, because it's a common thing right now within the trading space. So just to give you a quick run through, so basically what you're doing within forecasting is just marking on the screen, whether subconsciously or actually practically marking it on the screen, what you're looking for in order to take a trade. So some people do this subconsciously. For me, I like to do it practically on the chart. So all I do is on trading view, you have a little brush tools. All you do is go to the side. It's the 4th menu down, and it should be a little brush there. You can then click on that. You can also save it to a bottom bar down here too. So you can pretty much click on that, and then all you're simply doing is just noting on the chart what you're looking for. So if I'm looking for, if we just take a look at this, we've got a clear descending channel, as we can see here. This is on the lower time frames. All I'm really looking for now is, you know, that first correction. So no matter how you draw it, no matter what your setups are, you may wait for a 50 EMA, for example. Let's put a 50 EMA on here. Let's say that you had that right, and then you're looking for a pullback, right? So let's say, okay, perfect, I'm looking for a break and retest, 50 EMA, perfect. I'll be looking to get involved in the trade, so looking for that. When that happens, I'll then get involved in the trade here. Let's say an average 20 pip stop to the high. We've got 1.3 to this current high, which is around these areas here. We've then got 3.25. So vice versa, you could have a fib in there, you could have RSI in there, you could have completely no indicators at all. Depends on your style, and that's why I wanted to add the moving average in there as well. But you see how it works, right? So you just forecasting ahead of time what you're looking for in the market, so you can say it out loud to yourself. That's something that I did in the past as well. Now it's more so subconsciously, but there's different ways of doing it. And what I usually do as well in the mornings, as you've probably seen in prior videos, is actually take screenshots of the forecast just to track the setups, and then if I do miss anything on the charts or any missed trades whatsoever, I can then tailor that back to, okay, well, is there anything I can improve here, etc. Those 3 key questions. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What can I improve on? So that is key. So I just wanted to give a very small breakdown on, you know, forecasting. What is it? Why are the reasons I do it, etc., etc. But that's why I do it. I've done actually tailored videos on this in the past. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check out those cards there and watch the video. But forecasting can be key. I really find it helpful and primes my mind in the right state prior to get involved in the live markets. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. A little bit different, but thank you to the subscriber that reached out and asked the question too. But I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Speak to you all soon.